Hello, and welcome to The Spiritual Pivot, a podcast all about the chaos of running your own spiritual business and the life pivots that got you there. My name is Charlie River Morrow. I'm an Akashic Record reader, and today I am so excited to talk to Lorene Davidson. She is a retired certified registered nurse anesthetist and co-founder of Women's Multisports of Richmond, a nonprofit dedicated to building community, compassion, and empowerment through movement and the ongoing exploration of the intersection of the physical and spiritual worlds. Lorene, I am so excited to talk to you. I only got a chance, I just moved back to Richmond. Lorene was the first person that I got a chance to be pulled into community with, and I am so grateful for that connection because I have already had such a blast getting to know Lorene and everything that she's been doing. But I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you, about Multisports of Richmond, and just welcome. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This is really exciting. Being a retired nurse anesthetist, this is a totally different thing than I'm used to. I'm used to, science and very little public speaking, even in small groups. So this is really taking me to out of my comfort zone and to places that I'm evolving into that feel really good, actually.
Well,
So, Women's Multisports started as just a fitness group, and it was mainly a bunch of mountain bikers that were sick of being bossed around by other mountain bike organizations and told the rules and who could be members. So we said, we're just going to start our own thing. So, it's three of us, and then it evolved into doing regular mountain bike rides, and then it became just huge where it was amazing watching the women all become such good friends. And that community still exists today, even though I have pulled away to do more of the spiritual side of mountain biking and fitness. I'm not racing. I'm not driven to be the best mountain biker anymore. I just want to be in nature with my dog and others that just want to enjoy the journey. So that has been, especially in my retirement, so amazing.
yeah.
But the struggle I'm having is people know me as a racer and as a good mountain biker and as someone who always leads the group. And I don't mind leading. I just want to lead in a more relaxed, casual pace. And it's a different style. And a lot of the old community does not get that. So I recreated Women's Multisports to be kind of what it is today. We have spiritual get-togethers and just community luncheons, but we also have mountain bike rides where we will do stretching and maybe a little yoga and maybe a little meditation along the way and just hug a tree. And so that has been really exciting, except it's I have this huge group of people that follow me, but I think maybe they might be a little confused about who this new person is. And I am too, actually.
So
Um,
you've gone
yeah,
through quite a few. You've kind of got quite a few pivots yourself. So when did spirituality start being a part of just your everyday, or has that always been how you've shown
no.
up in the
I
world?
mean, like I said, I'm a nurse. I went to work every day in the operating room. There's no windows. Oh my gosh, stress. And then I retired, but also, I don't know, the way elections were going 2 years ago, my best friend died all at once. It seemed like the world was just going crazy. I just left. I basically was like one of those people who said, I'm just going to Canada. I can't take it. And nobody really thought I would. And then I did. And I really didn't think I would actually. And I was a little worried about the whole thing, but it was like so magical. The solitude, the nature there is like nothing you've ever seen, especially in wintertime. And it snowed like it was like a blizzard every day. And I thought that would be scary, but it was so wonderful, really. And I had a wood stove and it was just awesome. And then I just started mostly getting on the computer and just learning and doing meditations, which took me really wonderful places that I didn't know I could go. And then I came back and I was like, there was part of me that couldn't let women's multisports go. It was kind of, it was kind of in, what do you call it, just there, but we weren't doing anything.
Mm.
But I just couldn't let it go. It was like something in my soul that said I can't let it go. And then it just kind of dawned on me, why don't I just recreate it with this spiritual edge to it? And that's where I am now. It's a work in progress for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So it really did just evolve from everything that you'd been doing with it for years and feeling like you've come back. You went on this hiatus from life. It sounds like how long were you in Canada?
I was there 3 months of the winter, and then I
Okay.
went back again in the summer for another 6 weeks on the other coast, on the West Coast. So yes, I
Yeah.
just wanted to get back. I could live there actually.
So sort of recognize it because I've noticed this with I mean, and everyone's life journey is different, everyone's path is different, but some folks are very, gentle with their pivots. It might take 5 or 6 years before you finally kind of get to the other side of something, and others are very much a no, I'm done, it's time to it's time to make a change, make a huge pivot. And it sounds like in the middle of yours, to kind of help with especially that central nervous system overwhelm of just expectation, life, everything that's sort of happening. You just leaned into it and said, okay, you know what, life is going to be very different. I'm going to go where I have to be isolated and stuck inside because it's blizzard every day. I have to get real and serious and connected with who I am without the external noise.
Mhm. And it completely wasn't intentional. I literally was just fleeing. I was running away from something at first, but then I discovered this whole universe and there wasn't I didn't stay inside. My rule was if the snow was going sideways, like the wind was so bad it was going sideways, then I stayed inside. But if the snow was coming straight down, fluffy, pretty, I went out in all different conditions. My dog and we did this thing called fat biking, which is mountain biking on snowy trails, which is God magical, and then cross country skiing. So yes, we were out and then I realized how much I loved the winter, which I never did. And then I discovered this whole thing and I just couldn't let it go once I got back. It was just like magical and just a purpose and, you know, so much one more wonderful way of looking at life than just going through the day doing your job and the usual stuff. Yeah, seeing the magic, I call it.
Yeah.
I love to see the beauty in life and the magic, and that's kind of been driving me.
Nice. So as you've recreated women's multisports of Richmond, you kind of touched on it. So I would like to kind of dive in a little bit about what some of I kind of want to see both sides. What have been some of the challenges of restarting something that it has this history? It has, like you said, it had a lot of folks, it has a lot of followers, but the participation sounds like completely dropped off. And now
Well,
you're
COVID
revamping it.
happened too. So
Okay. Okay.
COVID happened, and then I just let it kind of just
Just let
lay
it
it
be.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it was because it was there was drama in the mountain bike community. It was turning out not to be fun. There was a lot of like infighting and
Oh dear.
yeah, no, and it was just, yeah, too many teams competing to race, and it was just not healthy, at least for me.
So
So,
coming back into it with this new way of infusing things, what's
mhm.
been challenging and what's worked really well? I want to know both sides of that.
The
How's it been
challenging
going?
part is people's vision and view of me from the past. And,
Mm.
even when I do just casual things with those same people, they always expect me to be at the front, leading the ride, being fast. And that's just not, and plus I'm 66. I mean, how long can I keep that up? I mean, and these people are in their 40s, and younger. So I've always had a community that's way younger than me, because that's the age that most mountain bikers are. Like, there's hardly anyone my age still mountain biking. So that was a real challenge. So I have this huge meetup group of both men and women. It's like 660 people. So I just decided, well, I'm going to change the mission statement to involve spirituality and mental resilience, because I met a Navy SEAL and became really great friends with him. And he taught me how important your mental state is for performance. And it really is all of it.
Yeah.
If you don't think you can do it, then you probably won't.
Right.
Mostly mental. I mean, you could be as fit as a fiddle, but if you don't have that part, especially in an endurance type of atmosphere, that's the most important thing. So I thought, well, that'd be really cool. And then let's get some magic in there. Maybe some meditation, nature, full moon, get-togethers, some of the stuff doesn't involve physical fitness at all. It's just exploring rituals that have to do with connecting with nature and beyond.
Mm.
And a lot of it also is driven by my best friend passing away, and my just desperate almost need to connect with her, even though she's gone. And that has been amazing. So that has been the biggest struggle. But the biggest magic is even if I just meet one new person like Charlie, like you, and every time it just seems like there's one new person that just is so a perfect fit for the group, that is on the same, level, and I has the same ideas and wants to go the places I want to go. And they're very forgiving of my lack of uh, ability to be a super great public speaker, which I'm evolving better into, and just experimenting with me, like what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And yeah, just being open-minded. So.
And I can say I haven't had the pleasure yet of getting together for some of the other events, but what came to mind, sort of as you were mentioning, because one of the get-togethers that is much more part of the group that you had started is mountain biking together. But the phrase that just keeps going through my mind is just mobile women's circle, rolling women's circle. Um, very much so, because it's the group that I came into. I honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Lorene. I did not realize that it was women's multisports when I first went to the group, because it was a year of the Fire Horse meetup. It was conversations and getting together at a coffee house, and it was just an opportunity to get together with local folks and discuss what
I
was
think
happening with their
also,
year.
though, Charlie, you found us through the other meetup that I lead called Conscious Creation.
Ah, yes.
I just stumbled into that because their leader couldn't do it anymore. And they were, it popped up like, we need a new leader. And I was like, oh, those are a whole new set of people. And this just sounds exactly the type of person that would be interested in the spiritual side. But
Yeah.
most people do have some sort of physical fitness. And if you make it non-threatening, like we'll start up walking our dogs instead of running them for our
Mm-hmm.
training for this adventure race, and we're doing it over 5 months, it becomes completely accessible and not scary
Yeah.
to most people.
Yeah.
Instead of like your husband taking you out on a mountain bike trail and take you to the hardest trail, and you're like, I never want to do this again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
There's something that's just so needed too in the spiritual space. Spiritual spaces especially, really, because there's a lot of talk about somatics. There's a lot of lingo about breath work this and and getting into your body. And that is something that is done. It is done when you are quiet. It is done when you are in a darkened room. It is done when you are in those spaces where everything is calmed down. And especially for those of us who have a history of trauma, which, let's face it, that's basically every woman, it's most people, but anyone with a history of trauma also needs opportunities to have their central nervous system excited, and it needs to be busy and it needs to be active, especially in community. And that's not necessarily something that a lot of folks who are doing spiritual work are really centering so much. They
Mm-hmm.
might be going to the gym, they might be working out, they might be doing things, but a lot of it really tends to be a lot more solitary or with the same core group of people, many of whom, like myself, I'm the only one in my core group going through any sort of spiritual awakening. So to have conversations with them about any of the things, including but not limited to just YouTubers that I like watching, it's very isolating. It feels very much like you are wrong. And again, like the people that used to know you, they don't understand the version of the person you're becoming. And so to have that space, to have that opportunity in a very open way that says, we're just here to figure out what we want to do and what we want to talk about. And while we're doing it, we're going to get sweaty or we're going to just get a little bit active. We're going to get into our bodies and we're going to appreciate the nature that we're in and we're going to appreciate the land that we're in. And we're going to take a moment to connect with one another on a central nervous system level for just a few minutes every couple of weeks.
Yes.
That
And
is,
the power of nature, I people underestimate that.
yeah.
Just being out in nature is so motivating. Yeah, and that there's the mind-body connection, and you can learn a lot from your body. Tells you a lot about what's going on in your head and vice versa. So to do one without the other to me sounds counterintuitive now that I'm learning about the importance of it.
Mm,
And even food, it all kind of intertwangles, into one big you. So
yeah.
I try to incorporate nature into almost any of the things. And that's why mountain biking, I love it so much. It's just being out on trails, on a bike. And it could be easy or it could be like super hard. But yeah, it's just I'm so grateful I found that sport. It has really changed my life in so many ways. So
Nice.
yeah, I like to share that with people and a lot of people are afraid because they don't want to fall down. There might be blood, or there's trees in the way and things happen, but it's worth it
Yeah.
to be like a kid again,
Yeah.
you know?
So we're going to shift into sort of, business thinking for just a minute because
Okay.
you have this set up as a nonprofit,
Mhm.
as just the entity that it is. When you're thinking in terms of I need to continue this as my business, I need to do all of the standard things, including thinking about the future. What goes into that? Where do your thoughts start? Where do your thoughts go? What is it that you're hoping for this to become as you've sort of restarted this? It sounds like Lorene went through this herself and you're kind of allowing for this organization to do the same thing, to kind of do that folding back in, maintaining the name and maintaining some of what was there, what was built with an entirely new perspective. So a rebirth. It
Yeah.
sounds around it, but a rebirth for you, a rebirth for the organization.
Yes.
What's in the organization's future?
Well, anyone who knows about it, starting or being part of a nonprofit knows that it's somewhat expensive to get it started and to become a nonprofit. But once you are a nonprofit, then there's no more money involved unless you choose to have shareholders and whatever. So our nonprofit, there's really no exchange of money at all unless we have teams that we charge a yearly fee, but that was in the past. Um, but the challenge though is that you do need to have regular board meetings. You do have to fill out the paperwork about who your board members are and president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, just board of directors, and you need to meet on a regular basis. And that's pretty much the struggle because most people love to take advantage of the activities and all the fun, but it's hard to get a core group of people that want to do the work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Even the organizing of an event, because it involves a bit of vulnerability. And, I swear Allie and I, my daughter, we would sit here waiting for people to show up for mountain bike rides, for our weekly rides. And sometimes it would be just me and her. And we would look at each other and go like, I wonder if anyone will show up. And then it evolved into like my whole driveway is filled with people. But that took time and
Mm.
like perseverance. Like if I could have just quit and been like, my feelings are hurt, no one showed up. But we actually kind of turned it into a joke. And that's kind of where I am at now with the new group is it's evolving into more and more people showing up, but it can, I did have a mountain bike event where I showed up and all by myself. It was just me, and I went to the mountain bike place and did a mandala. I don't know if I say that right. Mandala in with flowers. That was the thing we were going to do, but I was the only one who went and did it. And I made a little mandala in the ground on the ground, but people came by, loved it, and then it just made me feel good.
Yeah.
But if I had my feelings hurt and just just been upset that no one else showed up other than me, then this group would not exist because it's I don't make people pay, and I don't want it to be pressure on people. I want them to love
Yeah.
it and want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Because that was the old me, the one that was controlling and wanted everything, yeah. And now I saw how stressful that was, and it was not good for the group when you force your force your vision on them.
Yeah.
So my vision is open. Like I am so open to change, changes or where people see us going. But one of the main things I do want is to give back to Richmond, because I love this city. So in my perfect future for this group, I would love to have a big event where we somehow give back to some part of Richmond, whether it be spiritually, to a women's shelter, to whatever cause we can find that everyone wants to be part of. But that also takes work. And,
Hmm.
you know, it can't be just me. It just won't be a successful event if it's just me.
Yeah.
You know, we need, an organizational committee and all
Yeah.
that. So that's where I see it going.
Nice. And it sounds like, and it's funny. I had just as you were talking, like I saw people immediately like clean up down at the river.
Yes,
Just like a
we've
group
done
of
that
folks.
too. We've cleaned
Yeah.
up the Capitol Trail. We used to have a little
Yeah.
sign, Women's Multisports, because we had our little mile that we could clean up. But it was always like five people, it's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
20% of the people do everything, and then the rest maybe not,
So
you know.
it's and it sounds like this. It sounds like this is. It's really. It's funny. It's hearing you talk about this organization and sort of the growth that's required really does feel the same as as an awakening and as some of the things go because it just things that you want and they're that you like you can feel them they're here but it's not yet. It's sort of a like trusting the divine timing and allowing for the things. That's the hardest part, right? Just allowing for the things to come in as they need to come in and trusting that over time and with consistency and just with this being a natural part of it, it will grow and
Yes.
it will become that bigger vision.
Sometimes
Uh,
I just have to pause and just stop organizing everything, just pause because it's just not whatever I'm doing, just not working. It's not feeling right. I'm feeling really anxious and, jittery about it. And that's when I just step back a little bit and realize I'm pushing too hard. I'm just not letting it evolve kind of like in a spiritual way, in a way that is not controlled by me,
Yeah.
you know? I don't want
Totally.
it to be a Lorene show, which I have been accused of doing in the past in my old group. It was the Lorene show. But I was like, well, we could make it someone else's show. Someone come help me. Oh,
Well, it sounds like it's evolving into a group show, into a all show. And actually, with that, I'm getting
yeah.
your guides kind of showed up as soon as I hit record. And
Yeah.
it's funny, they've kind of been like, I felt like not like a literal hand, but I've sort of felt like okay, can we start? I felt sort of
They're like,
a pushing.
yeah.
Mainly because there's sort of just a reframing for you. Um, less the Lorene show, more the Lorene symphony. They want you to see yourself as a conductor, since you
Yes.
are the president of this, and with the same levels of uh you're in the process of packing your symphony with
Hmm.
your musicians for all to enjoy. Okay. So we are going to get into your Akashic record reading. That was just a very like we want to make sure that we're providing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and
Um
we did have our very first board meeting as our new group with three other people and me.
nice.
So that's exciting. We're gonna try to do it quarterly, and we'll see. Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
So what question have you got for your Akashic records and your guides?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my guides are so practical. It's like they know me so well. They know I respond to practical suggestions. Yeah, right now I'm in a spot where I'm pausing because had some negative things going on in the group that felt I don't know. I really just didn't know how to handle them, I guess. I want to be motivating, but I also want to, it's almost like you have to set boundaries with some of the things people do when they get upset, you know. And it seemed almost to evolve into the same infighting and drama between a couple of people over who didn't show up and who showed up, and, you know, things seemingly beyond my control. And that was really hard because I've tried so hard not to let it go to that place anymore because it's just, yeah, it just would seem like a bunch of women just um not getting along and taking everything personally. And that's not what we're about, you know, it's just about being part of our group at your own pace and what you want to do. There's no expectations
Yeah.
from me. So trying to limit that among members and leadership who are not, you know, who are 20 years younger than me, who haven't gone through some of the heartbreaks and realizations that you can't control other people and some of the things they do or some of the things that happen in our group are not a reflection of you. It's what's going on with them,
Mm.
not to take it personally, you know?
So the question I'm kind of feeling is sort of a what what would be the most helpful way to maintain harmony and
Yeah. And,
allow
but
for
also with motivation, because there can be plenty of harmony, but there also needs to be, for the group to grow, it can't just be me
yeah. So a question
in
of
everything.
leadership and
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
to motivate others to be involved in leadership. Okay. Mm.
And I have to say that I have such great friends that when I ask for help, they almost feel pressure to do it because they want to be good friends. And I don't need that. I want you to do it because you really love this group and you want to see it blossom, you know. I don't want you to do it because you're my friend, you're helping me out and you know, and it's not really in your heart. And that's I get that a lot too. People that, you know, don't want to let me down, but that's not what we need. We
Yeah.
just need people who love to do this, right? I mean, that's my thought of it.
The growth edge is where you are and is an unjumpable part. Okay. Uh, there's a level of having to calibrate with yourself in this leadership space, as you've shown, and with those you haven't yet to align with. There's they're sort of showing me a not quite a timeline, but just sort of a levels of where things are. Ah, okay. Okay. So we're gonna get a little bit into some sort of Akashic Records quantum physics. Here's just sort of what they're they're showing me stuff. Okay. So I'm gonna use things. All right, let's call this Women's Multisports of Richmond. Okay,
Okay.
it exists as its own entity in the Akashic field. It's its own entity. This is the Akashic record of Women's Multisports of Richmond.
Right.
Now, even though over time we can think of it in terms of just if we're thinking of terms of things being on wavelengths of higher vibration, lower vibration, you know, it any organization kind of just is naturally doing this because any of us are naturally doing this is just the way of existing.
Yes.
When things kind of hit that like stagnation, we're done point, you can kind of consider it's down here, right? It's pretty
Mhm.
low vibration. There's not a whole lot going on. Now, the amount of time that it's been there, not to mention the entanglements of because you can kind of think of like just imagine every single person who ever connected with or was part of it, they have a different little string that's on here. And that
Right.
is kind of holding a lot of energy, right? A lot
Mhm.
of entanglements are still here. It was down here with all of these entanglements over time. And now you have kind of pulled it up and you're pulling it where you are now, which is also in a different just level of existing. But it still has a number of these entanglements that's kind of going on. And between that and the fact that it's sort of shifting into a new way of sort of existing, it's still this because it is still that original organization. It is still its own piece, but unlike something completely new and completely from just, popped out of Lorene,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
It is its own thing, so it's going to look different. It's going to be different. This is what you're feeling because you can feel the polished nature of what this eventually becomes because it's very I know we're using very different things, but like there's a
Mhm.
very specific way in which it looks. It's been carved, it's had time, like it's had all of these, and where you're kind of trying to move it to is something that is much more just rounded, much more open, much less defined, much less it is specifically this and much more it is this. It is the offering of what we all can sort of see. The process of disentanglement involves disentanglement of the organization and disentanglement from everyone who has been tethered to it. Um, this is simply a natural way in which things move, and as this is rising from its stagnation point of no return, because it was in a not going to keep going stage. You
Mhm.
creating the keep goingness created a whole new, you can almost think of it like two different timelines. The
Yes.
timeline of it not happening anymore and then a timeline of new. And it just means that there's a lot of stories that have to get played out in order for those to leave. So that's how energy gets released. It's not really just like snap your fingers and poof, it's gone. There's a resolution that has to happen. So any stories that were being told in this organization, any drama, any pain points, anything that's been happening, those have to get played out. And part of how they're getting played out is by people coming in and playing out those stories. They're
Oh,
having their own
okay.
versions of them to play them out.
Right.
Now, where you come in as the leader of this is being the person who can hold space for that without getting sucked into it because you are operating, we'll go over here. You are operating over here. And even
Mhm.
though you're pulling this into it's I can't mold these into something new, but they will eventually become something new.
I understand.
Um but there really are kind of two distinct organizations that you really are creating here, and they are merging, but it's a process, and it's a multi-year process. It's something that does take,
Oh yeah.
it's not even just time, it's the experience is what it takes, because it's
Yes.
the actual act. You can kind of think of it like this: any person who brings any drama into your organization for any reason, you could thank them. Like there could be a level of, I remember that fight.
Oh
Thank
God.
you. Wow, you brought it back up. And you know what? I love you. And I love that this fight is here. Now I don't want it anymore. So we're just gonna nip it right now and be like, this is not how we do things, because it's your opportunity to be the leader in that. Because in that regard, it is the Lorene show. That
Mm.
is the Lorene show. How things operate here, that is your call. And that is your level of just speaking your truth to what you see and what is going on. And that's part of trusting that you're being guided by that which brought you to renewing this, because you are the one responsible for removing all of that, for removing all of the things. And when it's your responsibility, unfortunately, it's your responsibility.
Yes,
Like,
and that's interesting what you were saying because I only have really one person involved regularly from the old group, in the new group from the old group, but the new drama is totally new people. But it's interesting that I love to frame it that way because it makes it so much easier in my head that it's a learning experience for me and how I can react to it and set boundaries with it
hmm,
and make sure that the group stays open and non-threatening for everyone is going to be really important. And I'm learning how to set those boundaries in my group as well as in my life, which I used to be a not non-confrontational person completely. I mean, if there was a fight even at my home in my home, I just I, it, I couldn't confront it head on.
which means you're
So
gonna get
this
more
is
of it.
really
That's what that means. It means you're gonna get more of it until you're like,
yeah,
confrontation. Okay.
yeah. Even in my relationship with my husband. But it feels so good to be able to speak out. I was always
Yeah.
just taught not to speak and just to kind of be the quiet girl. And it feels good to lay the boundaries. And also I think being an older woman helps.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's not that you get more respect. It's just that I don't know. I guess that's why my grandmother was so, I want to call her annoying, but she didn't hold back from anything, and it's something you get as an older person, I think, that is really being in your 60s is one of the magical things that you get to have, that you can just speak your truth. And it's not as horrifying as like if you're a young woman and hysterical and who does she think she is?
Yeah. No, there's so the way that they show it is kind of that, because most most of our experience as humans involves unresolved stuff. Like, and especially organizations themselves, they have their own akashic record just like a human does. It like, it really and truly is its own entity. It has its own consciousness. It has its own stories and everything that's going on. And a group like that, especially if it kind of just ended, the stories that were playing out, they didn't really have anywhere to go, so they're still just sort of cycling. And what that means is that folks who have it in their life plan, in their life script, and things that they're working on, if they'll get pulled to it because there's something that they need to work on that's in there, which can absolutely mean that there is a drama life script that needs to get worked on. There's some level of, I need my feelings hurt. And here's what's interesting about that, though, because it's a level of, I need my feelings hurt in this container of a safe space, which, especially right now, because it's still relatively small as far as the participation goes,
Hmm.
I'll put it out there. For the first, and this is sort of a like general, this isn't just for you, this is sort of a general for organizations. the first 2 to 3 years, while things are small, those who come in, if they're playing out those stories in big drama ways, are doing so because you're the safest place for them to do that. So they're getting huge soul growth in isolation where they don't
Mhm.
have to feel the impact of hundreds of rejection pieces, because that's ultimately what, like, we're talking like drama. The ultimate outcome of that typically is rejection from the group, whether it's self-selection or you get kicked out or something like that. That's the ultimate, like,
Right.
difficult, painful, like, ow, soul growth moment that a person comes to an organization or any kind of organization and kind of stirs some shit up. Now, whether or not they're the ones actively stirring things up or they're just perceiving things and stirring themselves up, it's kind of
Mhm.
irrelevant. It's our
Right.
own stuff, right?
Mhm.
But the reasons for anyone coming into any group, but especially a women's circle type group like this, it is to move and unblock. And so
Mhm.
you're going to be having people who are going to be removing. Basically,
Mhm.
there's a level of drama is what you've spent a life being capable of withstanding. Like, and I see you on an ocean with like a giant wave, and you're just like, hi, oh, look at that. I can breathe water. Look at that. My entire life I've been able to do this. And
Uh-huh.
I'm not scared of the giant wave that's crashing because it's not a giant wave to me. It's just you playing out your story and getting through a level of pain that needs a witness without rejection.
Mhm.
So, yeah. You've got some waves. You have tidal waves. That's a very rude way to refer to people, but you've got some tidal waves of people coming
Mhm.
toward you in this group.
Yes.
And you're being prepared for that now in some of the quiet of things, but that just, they're some of the things that you experienced before, you can expect them again. You will
Yes.
be responding to them very differently, and how you respond to them impacts how those in your leadership circle respond as well, and everyone else that's part of these groups. People will self-select away. That's okay. That's actually,
Yes.
especially for an organization that aligns with spiritual stuff, there's a level of expectation that there should be a good amount of in for just a minute and then out for a
Mhm.
season, in for a season, out for a season.
Right.
Mainly just because the amount of work on central nervous systems necessitates breaks. There
Mhm.
may be a level of inconsistency the whole time you do this. You may have to take a break or two. You may have to just tell people, hey, for the next 3 months, do what you want. You see what
Yes.
I'm like, put something on the calendar for 4 months from then and be like, I will get back to you when it is then, but please don't expect me to respond, because there is a need for break and there is a need for your own continued upgrades that may require you to be away from the energy of this just for a
Yeah.
little bit. You may
It's
need to.
so important. And that's what you keep reminding me that, I was in this group. I am in a book club and we're reading Women Who Run with the Wolves. But this week was it's called Clearwater, Nourishing the Creative Self. And at the very end, what really stuck out with me is that um, it is into this world that women come in order to claim their own voices, their own values, their imaginations, their clairvoyance, their clear seeing, their stories, and the ancient memories of women. And these are the work of focus and creation. And if you've lost focus, just sit down and be still. Take the idea and rock it to and fro. Keep some of it and throw some away, and it will renew itself. You need do no more. So basically, I love the idea of, yes, just sit with it, be still. That might involve some time away. That helps me, some solitude, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And if it's something that is meant to keep on, um, it will keep on. So I'm learning to let go of the being so controlling about it and have faith. I never let it go as a nonprofit after COVID just because something in my bones told me it shouldn't completely die.
Yeah.
So And I could have just easily just have said, okay, that was that. We did it. Now it's over. But I just main thing I feel I keep just keeps coming into me is I just want people to be feel safe. So that is going to be the main way I and thing I set boundaries around.
Yeah.
You know, there should not be any chastising of people
No.
don't
Yeah.
show up at an event because they're your friend. You know, they could just not feel good that day, you know?
Yeah.
So people have stuff, and that's okay. So I'm learning that though the hard way because was kind of a control freak.
Well, and there's okay. There's just a final message from the this okay, okay, yeah. You sort of got a hand on your head, to be completely honest with you, because I'm just like mirroring what's going. You've got a guide that's right over your right shoulder,
Yeah.
and he sort of just has a hand right here, and is basically just almost to kind of cap you back in as a don't neglect wrong word. Oh, don't forget the magic in the control. Sort of a there's sort of a yes, the full need for control in general, not healthy, not helpful, and the skills that you picked up in that experience of being, there's nothing dangerous about picking them up in the 30 seconds you may need it from time to time.
Yes.
There's that's sort of like the remember to self-love piece of
Mhm.
even the pieces of ourselves that we do not wish to be part of our regular lived experience are important parts of levels of communication because it is the language that only others sometimes understand. Sometimes full open is different understanding and cannot process without basically it's basically a boundaries are not just for you. They're also a very helpful communication tool for folks who only speak in boundaries,
Mhm.
but like extreme levels of boundaries because they too have like there's not a person among us that doesn't have issues with control and with what
Yes.
happens when we feel a loss of that control, especially when it's something that we feel deeply passionate about.
Yes. And I don't want to change who I am. I mean, I don't know that I even can. I'm still me and I want to be the genuine me. It's just, I think I it comes just a little bit with just maturity
Yeah.
and maybe being hurt so many times that there's got to be a better way, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny how I have all these friends that every time they hit like 50, 40, 60, I swear from my 40s to even into my 60s has been so awesome. I, I don't know why it's been so great for me. I kind of love being an old woman, but I don't want to, I always want to be like this old woman, the one that is still has lots of vitality and
Yeah.
I don't know where I'll go from here and my later years as far as that goes, but I feel like there's people out there like Jane Goodall and Dolly Parton and Sally Fields, that they're in their 80s and they're just magical with it people that still are bubbly and positive and, can still walk.
Yeah, right? Yes.
So that's what
Yeah.
I'm hoping for.
Awesome. Well, Lorene, where can folks find more information about Women's Multisports of Richmond?
So we do have a Facebook page, which I'm trying to make it a little bit more active. So hopefully that's where the new leadership and board of directors will help me with. But we do have a very active meetup group. So just on Meetup, Women's Multisports of Richmond, then you can find all our events and how to contact me. But I am also on Facebook. just my self profile.
Okay. And I'll put all
Probably
of
the
those
only
are in.
Lorene in Richmond as spelled Lorene, so easy to find.
And all of those will be in the description of this. And if anyone is interested in leadership, what should they reach out and say to you if they're interested in being part
Same.
of
Yes.
leadership team?
If they love organizing events, if they have a different idea of an event, yoga instructors, sound bowl instructors, or, I mean, really, I'm open to anything. I'm thinking about, well, I am going to coordinate a paddleboarding adventure up in by Hot Springs. Just really anything that lights your soul up. And yeah, there's no, and we would just meet quarterly, so it's 4 times a year. And there's really no expectations. You could just be an organizer, you could just be someone that gives ideas to the group, or you could be my vice president. I already have a secretary, so that's awesome. So yes, and we don't really need a treasurer because there's no money exchanging hands right now, but maybe in the future. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, Lorene, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for chatting and sharing everything about what's been going on with you.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fun. I've learned
Thank
a lot too. Thank
thank
you.
you so much for listening and stay tuned for more episodes.
Yay. Okay. We'll see you soon.
Bye.